We go. I think we're live again. I'll say, indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friend. It's always a pleasure having you here for these moments. To be here again for another day of conscious evolving. Today's stream topic is about showing us that things are possible, showing us that we can, showing myself that change is not bad. I feel like there's a lot of us that probably already know that, but we are definitely in interesting times right now, and change is going to be a part of those interesting times. A change is marked by these times. Even like if we're gonna look back at this time, change is probably gonna be the only thing that we're gonna be like, things sure were changing back then. Our future self says about now. What is stability going to look like in our far future? I do look forward to it. And I find myself questioning that. Not questioning whether or not I should look forward to it, but questioning if I should be looking forward to it out loud. Does it make sense? There's this real hope and excitement and will to see, want to see the future unfold as I know it can, hope it could. And at the same time, there is almost like a losing out on the present moment because I am perpetually in this state of looking forward what's to come. And I wonder how much of that is a certain dissatisfaction with where I am right now. It's interesting how that fluctuates as well, right? That changes. And the change of how good you feel with where you are doesn't seem to align necessarily perfectly with how good you feel, with how good you are, right? Like you might feel a certain way. Like if we had to draw a bar, right? Right? Maybe like this is feeling great and this is feeling not so good. And then you have like a linear or a non-linear way, right? And for me at least, sometimes it seems that there is like a mismatch with how I'm supposed to be feeling. There'll be an acknowledgement of all of the things that have happened, the growth that has been induced, the experience that have been gained, and then at the same time there is this stark reality, if you will, that I still am sometimes unsatisfied. For instance, like the thing that's like bouncing around in my mind right now is the fact that I'm paying for something called Sage. Right? And Sage is an accounting software that basically allows me to send quotes to my potential clients. However, I'm not sending out enough quotes where I need an automated system, otherwise I can't keep track of all of the quotes I have to send and have to process. So I'm spending $30 a month paying for a piece of software, and I don't want to anymore. But at the same time, a part of that percentage, a part of that $30 also goes towards my accountant, right? And I don't necessarily want to go without that either. This freaking bug is skizzing my brain. I'll slay you. If you get in slaying distance, slay will happen. Dangerously close to slave. Right? So I feel like that needs to change. This freaking dude. My brain is not gonna. Hey, Nancy. My brain is not allowing me to chillax because this thing is hovering above my head and it's causing me to read. I think the bug got the message. All right. Right? I feel that conundrum. I have ambitions. Thank you, Joe, for adding your perspective. I'm just like instantly I just feel like, oh. I have that conundrum. I feel that conundrum. I have ambitions, and talking about them is definitely enjoyable. I definitely can build from others' input, but I don't want to voice these things too often because I don't want to proclaim something to happen while it's uncertain. Sorry about that. Like, I don't want to show my hand because I don't have all the cards I need yet. I relate to that, Sean. Maybe that is the thing, right? And the thing for me was me talking about how, despite growth and despite change and despite development, there still seems to be this like underlying like potential dissatisfaction with how things are. Right, like they're not quite right just yet. I don't have the right card just yet. Thank you for relating like that. Got some coffee brewing? Do hope so. Joe, that ties into our topic from yesterday. How plausible, possible other things that you would like to do? It's such a good question to ask. I love that question. Realistically, right? If you had to think about things in the grand scheme, what people have been able to do, what people have shown you can be done, right? That is today's whole thing. Like people have shown me things can like what I would have imagined impossible have shown me it's possible. Right? And I did have this conversation with a friend yesterday about this, right? The fact that we're creating content and you friends have helped me stay alive, right? I've had food to eat because of this content that we've been creating together. And that's magic. It's like magic. And people have shown me that on the internet. That's why I was capable of doing it in the first place. If people didn't show me, that wouldn't exist for me as a possibility, even. And in that way, you are changing the world just by showing up. Thank you, dear friends. I see Krallen. Bless you too. Quick hello before work. Have a good one. You're not interrupting. It's nice to have you here for a moment. Thank you for saying hi, Krallen. Bless you. Sun King's here too. Melt, love the hair, my friend. Thank you. Thank you, Sun King. It is a change. It is definitely a change. But it is one that has been made. And now I'm showing you. Look at me. Love is true. Uh yo, coffee gonna happen. Joe, I feel the same. Glad I didn't have to do all the typing. Bless you both. Yes, the hair. It does look good, Mel. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah. Love the haircut, bless. Thank you, friends. Thank you for the loves. It means a lot. We did have like so many moments of talking about the hair in like some of the last 2 weeks of streams and the encouragement of like just get it cut. We just have to have Bojo join us now, you know. Bojo was like the one that was the most vocal about like, bro, do it. Cut your hair, do it. Do it. This bug's back. I say, I say, bug, you will be slain. Find your way, or face me wrath. Here. Nice. Yeah, this is what I want. I want calm. So if you're wondering why I'm so pedantic about that particular bug, is because they drill holes. They drill holes into the wood, specifically milled wood, like the wood that is being used to build the roof on this building. And then they'll keep making holes and keep making holes, and they also drill like little tubes into the wood. So it's not just like a hole on the outside, it's also, it goes deep into the wood, essentially degrading the quality thereof, the structure thereof, slowly but surely, until it has to be redone. And I can tell you that these wooden beams are literally a part of the concrete as well. So it's like a ripping the whole roof off kind of situation to start over. Yeah. My dad also kisses about them. I think that's also part of my brain's experience. We call those carpenter bees or carpenter flies. Yeah, I think that is what they are. And like there's this one specific one. I don't know if it's aware that I'm sitting here and it's trying to like bother me, but it's like buzzing around over my head. And it's like, like I'm not scared of it. I don't think it will bite me or hurt me or anything, but it's drawing my attention out of this bubble of mental juju, conscious space that I'm trying to create. Change, huh? Change. Maybe that is the lesson I'm supposed to learn, is that it is a type of change. It's a type of change that I'm experiencing, a change in environment. Missouri man, Jackson County is suing homeowners who are disputing their artificially inflated property tax bill. State Tax Commission told the country to roll back their assessments. Jackson County said no, and is now taking taxpayers to court because they refuse to be browbeaten a second time. Homeowners who are disputing their artificial intelligence. Well, I'm guessing there's more homeowners than there is Jackson County, Jackson County, or there is more homeowners than there is Missouri men. I'm not exactly sure. Exactly sure. How does a county sue homeowners? Tell your friends it will be more scummy than the community pool here. Yeah. How about you move to South Africa? How about that? I've been inviting you, friends. I believe eventually you'll come. Eventually. All right. Eventually you're gonna realize that South Africa is a nice place to be. Right, and I'm saying that with my experience. You got to see some of the experience that I've had this year, and still. Hey, gabbity goo. Hey, my dude, looking so sharp and stylish. What? Think I missed a piece. So we had assessments done a few years back by Tyler Technologies, and assessments were not actually done. They just upped everyone's bill for no reason. Said so in court, right to a judge's face. Well, I mean that helps. Pre-criminal Sun King. That's how they're treated here. That's how they've treated. They're treated here. Now I'm just noting your haircut. It looks stylish. Yeah. It happened today, gobbledygoo. Happened today, bro. The end of an era. The end of long hair melt. Now I'm streamline melt. I'm fast melt. I agree with melt. South Africa, let's go, friends. Boom. Yeah, Jovan did reconnaissance. Jovan came and tested the waters on this side to make sure it actually exists. No, I'm totally not a super advanced computer that like simulated the whole of South Africa. I'm totally not. I'm actually not totally. Robot doesn't he look awesome? Let him know, show. You like the new haircut? I'm sure the terms exist everywhere, but here in California, we have a term working poor, literally earning income and being unable to afford housing. Yeah, that's a lot of people here in South Africa as well. Hi and bye, goodbye, shadow. Gotta step out by the immense Lovins if I miss the end. And Mel, the hair looks amazing, but I was afraid to say anything in case I had missed it before. No, it's brand spanking new. I did kind of just show up. Like, ta-da! Surprise! Change! I'm showing you change. Oh, I think I got a little bit of a rough end. I gotta step out. But the immense Lovins, bless you again. Thank you, Kristen. Joe, I hear when Americans go abroad, we get a lot of shit for being who we are. Did you experience that there in South Africa? I hope she does answer that question because I would like to be like, of course not. But that's my opinion. He looks so sharp, go. You'd appreciate this. My phone wanted to say sharp. He he looks so sharp. He looks so sharp. Reads that text. He looks so sharp. Starts crying. No man, no phone. Melt is sharp. Sharp is funny. But you're right. Melt does not look so sharp. My laptop is autocorrecting me too. It's just trying to mess with all of us, push us over the edge. My brain is like literally preoccupied by looking at that carpenter bee. Now I know the word. Bro. Bro, stop. There's like insects on my body as well. I don't know if I can get up there. He's flying too high. I am still just a statistic. Surprise, surprise. There's sounds. Oh goodness. Like you probably can't even hear them at all, can you? Maybe you can hear them a bit. To me, it might as well be a freaking helicopter hovering above my head. My dog Louise is staring at me. I wish you were looking at him and not a huge bee. She's nice. Makes painful eye contact. My brain seconds later makes eye contact again. I just learned how to say sorry. I don't speak whatever the language is. Do you speak English? Here in South Africa, pretty much everybody speaks English kind of fine, right? At least enough to get by. Jo is probably typing her message, to what Sam asked. There we go. Africa man hunting bees goop. I hear a low droning buzzing. That's about it. That is about it. Not really Sam. Not really Sam. But definitely a little bit. It was my first time traveling anywhere alone. So I was definitely already in a headspace. Get a lot of shit for being who we are. For being an American, I think the world almost, and I feel like, I mean, at least I didn't try and do that to show, but the world almost takes it upon themselves to make the American aware, right, of what they don't know. There's like a sense of pompousness, like a righteousness to like, oh yeah, you Americans literally live in the first world, in your own minds yet. Or you live in you live in the first world in your own minds, but you don't, right? And like at the same time, you have the amount of money to have built the first world, but you haven't. And then there is like all of that as like background noise in a person trying to just talk to now you, and they have all of these preconceived ideas of what an American is, and they're like trying to parse, trying to see whether or not, for being an American, it's more like we ride on our World War II accomplishments when we've done so much to make the world worse since then and have accepted no accountability or responsibility for it. Uh, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, Sam. Freshly shorn, looking good. Yeah, look at us, Joey. Now we look like this. Things changed. Things definitely did change. It definitely is an experience. I'm adjusting to it still, but I'm feeling okay with it. It is fine. All that to say, I was too overstimulated to really tell. Uh, from my perspective and my neurological stimulation point, I didn't feel like I was too overstimulated. I was very. I want to almost like think of it from like a efficiency perspective, right? Like if there was an experience to be had in this world, what is the most beautiful and efficient one to have, right? As an exchange of energy, how much energy do you have to give to feel that energy coming back to you at all times, right? And that in that way, I felt very not overstimulated, but like the stimulation was what it was supposed to be. Does that make sense? And from that perspective, I also saw people just wanting to connect with Jo, right? They just wanted to chat with her. Like they were just curious. Joy's up from her beauty rest. We did miss you, Joy. It's nice having you here, friend. What I mean by that is that the CIA engages in democracy, upending operations in other countries for the sole purpose of acquiring their resources. Yeah, yeah, no, like we know this, but it's like not. I can't do something about that. I mean, not like I can do something about that. Like no CIA, stop. Okay, CIA, come on. Let's do a timeout, CIA, on funding insurgencies. Let's do a little bit of a timeout though. The whole pirates analogy carries over, Sam. The whole pirates analogy. But yeah, back to the hair. Melt looks great. I personally cut my own. Kind of my own style. Oh, okay. What do you use? Do you use a pair of scissors? A pair of shorts? I had like a whole moment today thinking about the fact that people can't cut their own hair. And how I don't think I am equipped to do this to myself necessarily. Right? I would want to trust someone else. I had to work ridiculously late, so I stayed up past my bedtime to have more personal time, so I slept in today. Thank you for taking more personal time for yourself, dear Joy. We love you, friend. It's nice having you here now. Thank you for spending a moment with us. I'm going to be traveling out of the country this year, kind of wondering what kind of reaction I'll get now that Trump has been re-elected. Uh, I mean, try and avoid the politics question. A mosquito just got. Hey! Oh my goodness! Holy shit! I look to my left, and then suddenly I see like the silhouettes of 50 freaking mosquitoes after I beat one of them as well. I need to move. I'm gonna get eaten alive here. There's rain coming as well. Electric clippers, similar to yours, but I'm like a blonde Kramer from Seinfeld. That's awesome. That's too many mosquitoes. No, hell no, bro. This I cannot. This I cannot abide. The dude does not abide. Freaking getting eaten by mosquitoes. It's so rude. These mosquitoes have like a particularly nasty sting as well, I found, where it'll continue to itch for days after the fact. Just say you're Canadian and I'm going to be traveling. Yeah, yeah, you're Canadian. That's a good one. That's a good reaction. I'm Canadian. I didn't vote for any of them. But if you could vote for them, who would you be voting for? And then you say Bernie Sanders. And then they go, Bernie Sanders wasn't running. And you say Bernie Sanders. And then you say, but Bernie Sanders isn't valid. And you say Bernie Sanders again until they stop asking questions. Uh, all right. Let's just take the questions now. Uh, I could try. Adios, mosquitoes. Put this down here. Put this up there. So. And then this. And then that. And then I'll do this. And then it will be done. Well, I am mistaken. I better. Cool. Let's see. Joy with the hacks. I'm Canadian. Yeah. Where are you traveling to? Would you like to tell us? I am curious. Let's do a timeout, CIA. Alan Duels has entered the chat. Oh, coffee break over. Going to get back to the GOB. Love you, Sunken. Thank you for making sure the internet, I mean, the world doesn't just go explodioso, bruh. Mel, have a great day. All else, have a great day at night as well. Bless. Thank you, Sun King. I did get bit by mosquitoes at Africa's. Those motherfuckers get you like an ice pick. Yeah. Like if I could, like be a mosquito assassin, right? Make it my whole thing to just like await for them to enter my personal space. Just like ultra fast, slay them instantaneously, right? If there was like some monk in a mountain that I could go to train under to learn such skills, I would abandon all of my ambitions. I'm being dramatic, but yes, you get what I'm saying. It was a joke, man. Just say I'm Canadian. Joy Beef, nope, won't say that. Yeah, I think it is a joke. Because again, people are gonna ask you where you're from and they're gonna want to know the truth, right? So just tell them the truth. Just tell them the truth. They're gonna wanna like hear how you feel about it, probably, if anything, and then you can tell them, right? And the conversation can evolve from there. Melt, I'm going to Norway for my godson's wedding. Very cool. I'm going to the Netherlands as well to visit a friend I've known since childhood. Then I'm going to Portugal to check it out. but possibly moving there. Very nice. Joy Vive, okay, I can be too literal sometimes. It's okay, Nancy. I wanted to say we're all autistic here, but that can be a little bit triggering as well. You're loved. Uh, you'll also be welcome to reiterate, and all of us will find you wherever it is you are. Until next time, Sun King, bless again. Nope, won't say that. Portugal is a choice, Nan. What do you like about the place enough to consider it? That's a good question. It's a proximity. Have you been to South Africa? Africa is pretty nice. Do you work online? Maybe that is a potential deciding factor as well, Nancy. It's okay, Nan. Nuance is lost over text. I'm guilty of this as well. True. Portugal is a choice. I don't know one. Yeah. I want to become a citizen of the world. This is my dream. This is the hope I have. We did talk about that a few days ago, right? I want to be able to see our world. So, in that way, all of us will have little spaces to be on planet Earth. And then we'll have places on Earth that is not the place we're used to on Earth as well, that we can also be. And then we'll go and be there. Maybe not indefinitely, but for as much as we feel we need. And then we'll move on again, finding new experiences, new environments. I find a lot of value in changing my environment, I realize. The fact that it costs me so much is the only limiting factor. Like I had a moment today in driving to 3 different places to get my hair cut where I felt myself like in awe of how beautiful this place is. And I was like, bro, if I could just like spend an hour a day just cruising this area, how much more beauty will I see? But I cannot do that because it wouldn't be economically feasible to just spend an hour a day driving. That would cost me 70 Rand a day. So literally a third of my entire income will be spent just on fuel, burning fuel just so I can explore this world of mine, which is unreasonable. I can't do that shit. But there are ways, right? Hopes and dreams. And EUC is among them. I am only partly joking. Gonna be inner travels. That's wonderful. True. Do let us know. Maybe like check in every now and then and tell us it's going well. Sam, being from California, the weather is a big consideration, but also considering Mexico and Costa Rica. Nice. I think living in Italy is a little bit stricter visa wise. Otherwise, I would consider Italy as well. It's also a vibe. That's true, right? I feel like that's very important as well. Like all of us have different personality types. I've met 2 people over the last 4 weeks that told me they see me thriving in Cape Town with my personality type and what I'm trying to do for the world right now as well. Like what career path I'm following if you want to think about it like that. I just saw 2 beetles look for one another, get this close to finding one another, but like miss each other and walk past one another. Aww. Joy Vive. Thank you, friend. Sending me gas money. Gas money. It will unironically be about the amount of gas money I need for tomorrow. Like that's basically the exact amount. You melt me, Joe. Thank you. I appreciate it, Joy. That's very nice of you. Love is true. Good to know, Sam. Thanks. Would not consider Italy with Meloni at the helm, man. She's the Italian Trump. Nice. In an ironic way. Mexico keeps you adjacent to crazy, man. How about South Africa? South Africa is the most diverse country on planet Earth. We have the most open rules. We have one of the best legislative systems for our criminal justice. And I'm not capping, you can look this up. You can look it up. Right? We're one of the most inclusive and accepting of, different like sexual orientations and the merit thereof as well. I think gay marriage has been legal in South Africa since 1996 or something like that. It's been like 2 decades. Right? Like our female reproductive rights, like they have them in my country. uh, like like it depends on where you think things are going, right? Like we are in the age of technological leapfrogging. What that means, what that means is that there are going to be two worlds emerging in the future. There's going to be the established world, the establishment, and then there's going to be the emerging world, right? And South Africa is amongst the emerging world, right? Like, sure, we had a regime and an establishment in the past, but things are still just getting started. We're literally like 3 decades behind American development or Europe's development, like maybe even more than that, right? So the 3 decades that have been spent evolving or progressing in a certain way and like solidifying, literally concreting over, right? We haven't done that. We have the next 30 years to do that, and we get to do it differently this time because we have different tools and we have different mindsets and we have different goals and different perspectives on what it is we want. Right? There is no other country like South Africa like that. I'm serious about that. Like, do have South Africa on your list. Do. And have it high on your list. Like number one, on number one spot. I am biased, admittedly, right? I am totally not getting paid by the South African tourist commissions. I did look into it though. I was like, South Africa needs to start paying me. South Africa needs to be like, this guy is like hyping South Africa more than anyone else, bro. Like, let's send him some cash. I was like hoping, dreaming that that could be a thing. I don't think it is. I'll also hold out hope though. This is the point where I try to convince you to come to the Midwest, where you can spend 8 hours on a kayak and see more beauty than you could try to remember. And I'll do that. And I'll find myself grasping, holding on to those beautiful memories when I come back. It's like a matter of your country making it very difficult, right? Makes it very difficult. Like we are moving towards a world where we're working together a lot more. Like my mind wants to almost like gesture broadly to China. That's where we're going. All right, and that might be terrifying to some, but it's only terrifying because you have been propagandized. I have been propagandized into believing that's the case. Yeah. Interesting times ahead. Such interesting times. Surprised me, South African tourism doesn't do the entire Black American, doesn't do more to entice Black Americans to visit. It's again a funding thing, right? Like, how do you convince people to believe that funding this thing is going to generate any value? Like in imagining, like maybe I can go to them and be like, give me X amount money, and I will do entice Black Americans into South Africa? And then how do I go about that? It seems like an insurmountable task. So like I can't imagine them gonna be like, yeah, have money for do insurmountable task. It's like, Mel, that's what government is. Like, fair point. It surprises me. Bless again. Midwest be like, I was born corn. I'm a die corn. Uh, the traditions, the fall colors, the chili. Welcome home to the Midwest. Those things do sound very nice. I got to see snowfall as well recently from the Midwest. I have a Kiwi friend who offered to marry me so I could go and live in New Zealand. But it's so, so far away. Uh, Not really. Not really. Right? Relatively, everything is on planet Earth. And within the next 20 years, and maybe it's again my mind has like some sort of broken sense of time and skewed sense of what a long time is. But waiting 20 years to be able to travel anywhere because we're gonna have like literal spaceships, that will go uh, all well, not exactly orbiting, but like suborbit and then plummet back into Earth's gravity, making anywhere on planet Earth accessible within 2 hours of spaceflight. Right? So the planet's going to become very small in the future. So it's not about how far the places you're living, it's about, do you like living there? Can you afford living there? Is the quality of life there acceptable to you? Do you like where things are going? Right? Because if you're going to be building a life for yourself somewhere, where it's going is where your life is going to be. All right? And South Africa has a lot of problems. I'll admit that much. I'll admit that much fully. But the way it's been going, at least in my personal life, is just this surreal sense of people coming together to help people. Right? Government has been pretty non-existent in my life. Right? I've only ever worked with people. And in South Africa, that's pretty well understood. Right? And people help one another. People play their roles. People offer support. Joe said something to me, and it's been sticking with me a lot. Is that she sees people in South Africa being kind to one another because that's what they want to do. Where in America, and this maybe is like a lens to look through as well. It's not a stereotype or a projection onto everyone, but in America, a lot of being nice is a matter of business, right? It is profitable. It is uh, good for the economy. It is good for my own wallet. It is good for my own well-being to be nice to you, and that's why I am. Right, and that is, of course, not the truth for every single person, but it is definitely a difference in seeing this experience we're a part of. Where are we heading? To the future. We're definitely heading to the future. And I believe it's going to be beautiful, no matter where you are, for what it's worth. America, Costa Rica. I think it's going to be good no matter where you are. It's just going to be a matter of like proximity, I guess. There are going to be things to like and to not like about certain places. And I believe you're going to want to find yourself close in proximity to the things that you like. And maybe uh, further away in proximity from the things that you don't. And that will be your journey. That will be for you to find out, right? We did have that conversation in the previous vertical stream, even in just talking about children and raising them. I'm gonna wear some old camel colored Uggs right now, Sam. It's only terrifying because you've been propagandized. No, it's because information on the Tiananmen Square massacre isn't censored here, Mel. We didn't hide what happened at Kent State. I mean, let's not even go there. Let's please, Sam. If we're gonna go into like the things, the atrocities. Let's just use the word, the atrocities that the American government are actively committing and hiding. Tiananmen Square will look like a freaking children's tea party, with them imagining their rabbit to ask for a slice of cake. Like, let's not even go there. Like, in comparison to what governments have been up to, the reason I think, if you want to go into that level of like conspiracy theorying, the reason Tiananmen Square isn't being talked about in China is because they are appalled by it, and they don't want their citizens to know that that is something that happened ever, right? Meanwhile, that shit, and worse, like much worse, people getting like drone strike. You're in your house. Never mind going in front of a tank. You're in your house with your kids getting drone strike by the American government, right? Like, we're not talking about that stuff. And yeah, the Chinese are not doing that. The Chinese are building infrastructure. The Chinese are actually helping. That's why BRICS started. That's why so many countries are signing up. That's why the petrodollar is soon no longer going to be a thing. Like, there is an awakening happening in the global consciousness of like, oh wow, oh, we're spending dollars in a very interesting way. Very interesting. Interesting, right? And again, how much of that is available to the public eye, if you will, Sam? How much of it is censored or not censored? If we want to get into the atrocities, yes, let's. A government that would. Okay, I think I missed the previous one. I know a friend who married a Kiwi and moved to New Zealand. She loves it, but it was a lot of years of going back and forth with him until her permanent residency could get straightened out. Really, despite her being married, that is crazy. If you want to get into the atrocities, yes, let's. I don't really want to. I mean, like, the point is just like the governments are not innocent, right? And the Chinese government is definitely not innocent in that way as well. But if we had to think about it from a perspective of concentration, of like how much money, how much human soul, how much human effort, human value is being put into a certain way of being, right? Like, the Chinese have it going for them. Like, they're doing well, and it shows, right? It's showing. It's becoming more and more apparent day by day, and every single government that knows what the future is going to be is already kind of signing up. And at the same time, right, like, there is this Americanized view of like China bad, China bring cheap thing, make my economy dead, China bad, right? When China isn't making cheap thing, China is making everything, right? And when America has literally outsourced all of their pollution, all of their human effort, all of their innovation to China for the last few decades, and in doing so have created this literal super unity, right? That is becoming, that is what we all are. Literally, like, every single, like, the reason this whole thing is happening, my devices, this microphone that is attached to me, the thing that's holding onto my cell phone, this bench was probably made here in South Africa, but these cushions were probably made in China as well. So the thing that I'm sitting on, this was made in India. This shirt, probably Chinese too. This leather bag might have been made in South Africa. I was made here as well, right? But like, there's so much. We're already integrated. Like, we're already one. Like, there's already a unity that has been reached. It's just now about kind of like getting our minds to catch up with the fact of like, hey, you're not helping anybody. You're not helping the economy. You're not helping industry by putting 100% tariffs on electric vehicles. Well, all you're doing is you're hurting individual people, right? You're hurting people that want to stop burning fuel day by day by day. You're hurting people that want to take the sunlight that is shining on their roof and put it in their vehicle so they can drive their kids to school, right? That's the only people you're hurting, right? And it is like ridiculous to me. I don't understand it. Like, this massive, like, tariffs on just like solar panels themselves as well. The faster we get to a planet where we're no longer reliant on the government in the same way we used to be, because that's what's happening, right? It is a control thing. It's a keeping you reliant thing. And the Chinese are literally empowering de-reliance on the government because that benefits them, right? They actually do take care of their citizens. They actually do spend a lot of money on infrastructure for their citizens' well-being. They do that. They also did hyperinflate their like housing market. That also happened. But at the same time, they built the roads to those overinflated housing markets. You know, those roads are drivable. You can go and drive to see those overinflated houses. That's the ridiculous part, right? Here in South Africa, no new roads have been built in, I can't imagine how long, right? Where that's actively still happening. The future. The future. What is the future gonna look like? Yeah, it's a government that would hide its actions, running over democratic protesters with tanks cannot be trusted ever. And a government that is actively has paid billions of US dollars for the bombing of women and children should be trusted. We're like, again, Sam, like we're talking about things that we have no access to, right? It's ridiculous. The point I was making is that China isn't bad, right? And that is all I'm saying, right? And I was there, and I've told you, friends, about some of the bad experiences I've had in China, right? But despite that, I came out of it alive, right? I was arrested. I was, but I wasn't beaten, right? They didn't burn me with cigarettes. They didn't, abuse me. They were very professional, right? I felt, and I said this to you, friends, as well. I felt safer. Still stressed, right? Because I'm literally in an unfamiliar world. But I felt safer with these Chinese police officers that I don't even speak the same language of than I do with my own police officers here in South Africa. Right? And that is bonkers to me. Like, it really is. Like, it is it's interesting to me, like how the sentiment, the world sentiment, that's like one of the things that we're overcoming now. We used to be like separated by like skin color and like religion, and now it's sentiment. It's like what we can agree on. That's what's separating us now. That's literally the only thing separating us now. And agreeing on whether or not like a whole place is bad or good isn't helpful, right? Because again, we can talk about the American government and what they're doing in the military, but that is literally completely separate from the entity that is America, right? That is the American people. That is you, Sam. That is Jovan. That is her families. That is your families, right? And I'm aware of that, or at least I try to stay aware of that. And in that way, right, like if we're going to be comparing these entities that are government, one of these entities are doing better, right, when it comes to what they're doing to their citizens and to the citizens of the world. Right, and you can literally not excuse that. It's clear as day, literally clear as day, unless you've been absorbing a certain type of information your whole life, also known as propaganda. No. I raise you the Tuskegee experiment and the Henrietta Lacks, Sam. If you're talking about the government hiding atrocities, I don't even know those words, i.e. it's been hidden from me, right? Like I wasn't supposed to know the information, but Joy does. My dad was married for 15 years before obtaining his American citizenship. 15 years? That seems reasonable. You've spent 14 years of your life, of your soul's energy, pouring it into our country. I think you're going to have to do an extra year, bro, before we're sure. I am joking a little bit, Joe, but that's insane. That breaks my brain a little bit. Tuskegee, this whole race riots is unfortunate. It's unfortunate and indicative of how hard-baked racism is into this country. We don't hide that. And that's my point. China is actively exterminating Uyghurs in camps. Yeah, like I don't know that, right? I don't know that. I have watched those videos as well, Sam. But again, we were literally just talking about the CIA, right? And their propensity to mess with other governments and the public perception thereof. So yeah, like I've seen those sides of the theories as well, where it's literally psyops. There is another mosquito looking for me. I hope the future looks more inclusive and caring. I believe it does. I believe it does. Let me share this little tidbit about China. The actual Xi Jinping, is that how you say it? Is pro the techno scene. Did you know that? Right? So there is now actively an emerging techno scene in China where people are throwing music festivals with big speakers. And guess what? Everybody knows that when there's big speakers and music festival, there's probably people taking psychedelics or something of the such. And the actual president, in being asked by reporters, what does he think about this movement, was pro that movement. Was like, yeah, that's great. The young people need to get out there in the world and show up with these things. I want to read the exact meaning, but that mosquito is like fully occupying my mind. Let me see if I can find it here. Recently, I heard something about China and the emerging techno scene that they have in China, and how upon asking their emperor, their minister, their president, what he thinks of it, he had good things to say. Can you find the exact information, please? Yeah, we're dicks, but China is where. I don't think that's true, unfortunately, Sam. Historically, it's not true. Right, we have to pay attention to the history. I couldn't find any specific statements from President Xi Jinping regarding the techno scene. However, under his leadership, there has been a notable emphasis on promoting technological innovation and cultural development. This environment has allowed various music genres, including techno, to gain massive popularity in urban areas like Beijing and Shanghai. The government's support for technological advancements and creative industries has indirectly contributed to the growth of these diverse music scenes across the country. Yeah. So one government, is like actively warmongering, and the other government is promoting plur, peace, love, unity, and respect in the festival scene. Right? Literally actively funding it, paying, making sure that people are connecting with one another and building lifelong relationships. Right? Building their cities so they're walkable and bikeable and drivable. Building parks into every single city. Like every single city I lived in when I was living in China, right? Every single one of them, within 5 minutes of me, had a beautiful park with water features and insane-looking rocks and marble walls carved with imagery and stuff. It was insane. It was insane how much attention to detail they give to making sure people have access to a world that they can actually want to be in. Right? And yeah, like that alone, like, again, I was there in a capacity of being an English teacher, and it hurt me to feel like I was taking youth away from kids, right? Teaching 6-year-olds English, at 9:30 p.m. on a cell phone, because all teaching is relative, like grading their homework, asking them to send in their homework at 9:30 p.m. because they're still awake, because that's the only slot they have, having actual classes from 6 to 7 and from 7 to 8 p.m. at night. And the kids have to go there because, again, that's the only slots they have. And again, right, that's not the Chinese government doing that to the kids. That's
parents doing that to their kids. And it is because of the amount of competition that there is. Like, there are billions of people. All right. Like, that's also something people don't really fathom, is that there are 4 times more Chinese people than there are Americans. All right. Like, your population quadrupled. And you have to feed all of those people, and you have to take care of them. You have to provide environments for them. And like, joblessness and houselessness crisis in China is significantly better than it's anywhere else in the world as well, despite having hundreds of millions of more citizens, right? It's almost like they're spending almost like 90% less, or 80% less on their military. You know, what a trip! What an interesting experience! How fascinating! These freaking mosquitoes. I like today's fit, Mel. Thank you. I don't wear this shirt a lot. It's pretty basic, but it was easy to put on, and I was just like, throwing it on. And the government, who paid billions of dollars to bomb women and children, can be trusted. Notice how I never said that, and that at every point I've been upfront about how America is assholes. Yeah, like the point I was trying to make is that the future is heading in a certain direction, right? And the past used to be very westernized, used to follow Western politics, used to have sanctions being a thing, used to have this country making war in yours, right? That's a very historic thing. Like, you can check the boxes of the amount of, again, of the CIA. You brought that up today. The CIA is a government-funded agency, right? The amount of war and destruction and murder and death they brought onto the planet as an agency of the American government versus what China's been doing, right? It's like literally, one is clearly bad guy, one is clearly good guy, right? And it's so fascinating that, people think the opposite. It is really fascinating to me. Right, and I feel like a lot of you friends probably had that as an experience as well, of like neither side, neither the Democrats or the Republicans were, one that you might have wanted to vote for, right? Trump being at the helm on one side and all that he stands for, and then Camilla and the Democrats literally being the ones that are actively in this process of funding, what's happening in Gaza. Like, what the fuck? What are you supposed to do? Right? And like, all of us in the world are in the state of like, and like, I want to say the words of like, the world has been giving the Americas a chance to stop being like that. And like, we're like, the only thing that like listens, the only thing that's getting ears is money. Right? That's the only thing that matters. It's like, money? So there's a whole new economic system arising on planet Earth right now. One of them is going to be crypto. The new BRIC system is also going to be a stable coin. So that's also going to be crypto. So crypto is going to become even more of a thing. And when crypto truly arises, right, truly becomes the dominant currency on planet Earth, like the dollar's kind of prominence, and like the bolstering that came with it, as the American country, is going to have to change. That is today's stream topic ultimately, right? And I feel like maybe that's what I can say, China is not perfect, but in the realm of when people come and show you what can be done, right? China is doing that very well. They're really showing what can be done and how fast things can be done and how well things can be done. Right, there is this idea that Chinese manufacturing is associated with cheap stuff as well. Paying little amounts of money for an imported Chinese product is associated with cheap things. Like, if you pay absolutely no money for anything, it's probably going to be a cheap thing because it literally by definition was cheap. Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to the future. I am. I can see hope in a way that I've not been able to in a long time. Like, I don't know if you friends are paying attention to what's happening with the whole BRICS nation thing, but like, we had like a proper meeting like a few weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago or something, and China and India are like literally almost like accepting, like there was for decades, literally, the last few decades, there was tensions. They never went to like proper wars and like started freaking drone bombing each other and stuff, like because we're not doing that in the modern world. And now there's like a proper acceptance of like, okay, bro, you keep your India and I'll keep my China. And both of them got together in one of these BRICS meetings, and that was, one of the things that kind of became accepted. The whole BRICS currency, the stable coin is going to be a means for us to exchange value. Because I don't know if you know this, but right now with our Federal Reserve Bank, you have to, when sending money internationally, convert your currency into dollars first, and then send those dollars over, and then their currency has to be converted from those dollars into what their value is. And in that process, there's arbitrage and there's value loss. And, again, there's only one entity gaining, benefiting from that being the way that it is. So that is going to change. That is going to change over the next few years, right? And like that's just one of the changes that's coming for us. And again, I want the best for you, friends. I feel like that's maybe where I'm coming from. Is that I love you American friends so much, like to a ridiculous degree. Like all of you friends, most of you friends, I want to say, has been American friends, right? In this space, I've been growing with you, and I do want the best. I really do want the best. It's naive, technically, and I'll admit that as well. Naive and maybe pompous, no, like hubris-ish, huberizing of me to believe that is, I know what is the best option for you, though, and I'm willing to admit that. Isn't anything everything all at once? Sure is, bro. Sure is. Jovan, that's the same for mom's citizenship in Canada. Don't get misquoted. Sana, you're not born Canadian? Where did you immigrate from? I also didn't know this. This whole convo is fascinating. I love this so much. Yeah, the part of me that usually doesn't come out is coming out right now, right? Where you get to realize that I'm not just a hippie. I'm not just a hippie. I'll admit, I am pretty hippie. But I'm also paying attention to what's happening in the world. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm positioning myself in a way that we end up in the best possible future. Because we're a part of each other's future. You know that, right? Right? Like I'm going to be affected by what you feel as well. And I believe that's how it is for all of us. But I think the fact that we have formed a connection as friends, I feel it even more, and vice versa. You'll feel my feelings too. Well, I mean, the festival scene is very much alive here in the Americas. We got very beautiful protected state parks, too many variables. I don't think it's a one-on-one comparison. True. That's true. The way I'm seeing it is just what is being valued, right? Again, from a perspective of showing, like, every single country is spending their money in some way, right? And what they're spending their money on shows what they value. Trying to think if there's good graphs. I think it's going to be painful trying to search some up. It's not naive to wish the best for your friends. It is naive for me to think it's easy, right? And I don't, for what it's worth. But I might talk like it is, right? I might make a point from the perspective of this is what should be done, right? This is what should be considered, if you will, while not at the same time in the same breath acknowledging how hard that's going to be, right? How difficult change is, to say it in today's stream topic. Trump wants to unprotect state lands and sell the land. Yeah, he wants to mine the land. He wants to drill the land, right? He wants to like start up the whole fossil fueling thing. And your country is like jacking the like EV prices up double, right? And they're also now apparently gonna like take away some of the incentives for the EVs too. And they're also, I think, jacking up the solar panel prices up by like 50% or something. Something ridiculous. Might be more than that even. Right? So
to my mind, like that literally looks like a country that is actively trying to ensure that the average person cannot afford to not be dependent on them, literally. Right? And to me, that's like, oh goodness. Oh my. I don't think that's what I want of my future. I think there's a lot of systemic problems everywhere. I don't think it's ever a problem with the individual. People my age in Canada probably won't get a pension. The debt has been there a long time. Yeah, exactly. And in that way, our currencies are going to get devalued. And that's why I think we will get pensions, Zano. Like, let's all take a like collective deep breath, because the future is technological, right? The future is digital, to say it in another way as well. So the future isn't going to be fiat currency, isn't going to be little pieces of paper. Definitely not, right? And in that way, again, it's terrifying to imagine all of these little pieces of paper we've been gathering as a species is going to become valueless. That's fucking horrifying as an idea. I admit that, right? And I'm not looking forward to that as a reality. What I'm looking forward to is the change that is going to be evaluating, right? Not having a profit as our driving force, but the quality of life, for example, right? Maybe like we can turn our GDP thing into a quality of life thing, you know. It's like, oh, how well are people living averagely in this country, right? If they're living well, our country is doing well. Like that makes so clear sense, you know, to the average brain. And if you think about the quality of life increase, if you had to look at the average person, you know, in a population group, and all of the different population groups, and you had to like track them, and you had to see how their quality of life improved in all of the different countries. Some countries are, again, you know, the forerunners, the leaders, the ones that are showing they're showing us how things can be done. And I am ultimately, you know, someone that is willing to admit that I am naive. And I like learning things, especially from those who have figured it out, or at least have tried to figure it out. Oof, joy. Yeah, there's that. But we will survive with our safe bubble, taking care of those we love. Best not to think about the sadness of how much government everywhere steals money. They are literally making themselves obsolete by doing so, right? They have printed and stolen so much money that people are now losing trust in it, right? And we're going to find a trustless system. And again, that is what crypto is. And I know maybe even hearing the word crypto makes you cringe, right? Doesn't make you feel good. And if you feel that in part because you haven't invested any in crypto, the good news is that over the next probably 20 years, you'll still be making a profit if you just put 20 bucks in crypto when you can afford to, right? Maybe you stop smoking cigarettes. Maybe you were smoking a box of cigarettes a week. Maybe cigarettes cost $20, right? If you put that used to smoke cigarettes $20 into you know, Bitcoin or whatever, Ethereum is probably a good one as well, you know, if you want to acquire more of a coin with smaller amounts. Over the next 20 years, that what you used to be cancering yourself with will become like a worthwhile investment, you know, one that you can actually do something with in your future. So it doesn't have to be your whole life, and you don't have to feel like you've missed out. It's not over, right? It's like thinking, oh, you know, the dollar has been around. Hey Google, how long has the dollar been around?
The United States dollar was officially established in
200 years, right? Like the dollar has been around 200 years. That's like feeling, oh, what's the point of, you know, acquiring dollars? You know, it's too late. I should have gotten dollars 200 years ago when getting $1 was, you know, a lot more. I could buy myself a house with $1 200 years ago. Should have gotten in when it was. No, you're still like, oh, I can make money. I can make dollar and then dollar worthy of purchasing house or whatever.
That is what crypto is. It's just a system that's trustless. It's a system where you cannot print more money. It's a system where when I give you a piece of crypto, it becomes a part of the money, right? It's like the money knows that it's yours now on the internet in a digital plane where you can copy paste things and you can create new of something. How do you have that tangibility of like taking this thing and putting it there, right? And you can represent that with code. And that's what the blockchain is. It's putting this went there into the block, right? And that block gets stacked in this informational system. And the only way for you to undo that block of information is to literally undo the decade that went into creating that block up until that moment. You have to fork it and then have the same amount of global processing power that is actively creating the next block and then create it in like on a parallel, like it's literally impossible. Like it's impossible. Meanwhile, inflation and the devaluing of our currency and the printing more of it and the, like arbitrage where money is like expected of you even though no money was really created. For instance, maybe you get a car, right? Now suddenly on your name, there goes suddenly minus $70,000 and minus $50,000, right? Of this car that's now owed on your name. That money didn't exist. The value didn't suddenly exist before, right? But now suddenly you are owed that to this system. While at the same time, that thing instantly loses its value as it rolls off of the floors. What we value is changing. What we think is valuable is changing. And I feel more so than ever, like we're realizing that things that cannot be messed with is valuable, right? Like as we're entering an age of more and more, what the hell's going on? Having something that's like, oh, this is kind of known. Some sort of known is going to be very important. And again, blockchain and the contracts that can be built upon it as well can bring in a certain sense of known and certainty and like, oh, it's going to be okay. Things are going to be okay. I know what's going to happen, it's like a future telling kind of thing. Or at least future insuring. Future insuring, I think that's a better way to see it. It's future insuring. It's like making sure the future gets here as it's supposed to be, as opposed to losing out in the future we're supposed to have. It's awesome how much love you have for your country, Melt, and how welcome you are to want us to visit. Americans are not the same. We're like, don't come, and if you're here, get the hell out. It's a difference in how we value things, Joy. Right? The only thing that is valuable in a country is the people that are in it. Right? And I value you friends a lot. And I believe in you coming to South Africa, you'll be valued by others too. Right? I'm not special when it comes to that. And I saw that happen as well for Siobhan when she was here. The amount of value other people applied to her, and the amount of help that she could bring, even just seeing those little tabs open. I just want to be off this earth and traverse it. I think America is really showy, flashy, looks luxurious, but it's just so vast and abundant. Little pockets of everything is everywhere. It's unfathomable. And to imagine that we have a whole planet of that show. And that is going to be the way it ends up, in the future, is we're not going to be still dependent on like a two-party system government. We're going to have these little pockets of everything, everywhere. Because again, we are already developing, 3D printing tech, metal 3D printing, or 3D printing organs. I saw a video 3 days ago, where we officially did a fully robotic double lung transplant, right? Still a person controlling the robot arms, but fully robotic double lung transplant. So again, those robots can be fit in container boxes. So, and the info, the technique of doing the surgery actively is being trained into a massive, AI model, which means that eventually we'll have super surgeons that can fit in container boxes and can be put on ships and can be dropped anywhere and everywhere. And then suddenly people have access to better medical intervention than us literally been available on planet Earth for the thousands of years prior. That's coming, right? And again, the solar thing. So with solar and batteries, those robotics are being powered as well. Again, anywhere and everywhere, little pockets thereof. And then the humanoid and potentially other like extra specialized robots will also be batteries and solar powered. So you can have robots, both of the humanoid slash physical action kind and of the medical kind, just like Dropbox. Literally, you can have like planes that just drop the boxes, parachutes. They don't even have to land. Disassemble all of that stuff. Build yourself like mini pockets with like ultra modern, medical intervention, more energy than you can ever need for, and the robots to help you grow food and sustain your whole little mini community, right? And I know that sounds out there, but it's literally no more than 20 years away. Like all of that is like technically pretty doable within the next 5 years. It's just again a matter of funding. Like what are we valuing as a species? What are we giving our monies to? Like, yes, I put money here for values because I think it is. And right now we're putting value in speculation a lot. Speculation. Oh, thinking what's gonna happen. What about when the government feels threatened by crypto and they shut down the internet? Then we're going back to the Stone Ages, them too. And again, you literally can't turn off the internet anymore. Fortunately, and this is one of those things where I feel, this might not be very well received, but fortunately, Starlink exists, which means now the internet is in space, right? And unless every single government collectively comes together and decides that they're now going to start nuking our planet and nuking our space to try and deal with all of the satellites, which will create so much space debris that we will literally like turn our planet into a blender on the outside. Right? Like no, it's not gonna happen. Literally will not happen, cannot happen, right? And it is a matter of like personal interest as well. Crypto is one of those things where the more it's adopted, the more it will be adopted, right? And I think we're somewhere on like 8% global adoption, right? So if you're even thinking about buying crypto, you're still amongst the first 10% that ever will. It's a big deal. It's a massive opportunity for all of us. And it kind of hurts me, especially for our poor people in our poor countries, like South Africa, like the Africas, that don't have the same amount of expendable income to be able to invest in this future opportunity. But yeah, shutting down the internet is not something that can be done. Even when I was in China, Zano, they did have like very strict rules about what parts of the internet is and isn't accessible. Because again, they care a lot about their people and they see certain things as highly detrimental, which is not wrong necessarily. I don't really believe in the censorship thereof, but again, by the Chinese, with their intellect, with their programmers, they have built pieces of technology that circumvent, those limitations as well. And they're not actively being murdered, like they don't have SWAT teams. Like you don't hear people dying from circumventing. Like I wasn't prosecuted. Like I could keep going down. I had access to the internet for the most part on that side. So not even them, who are literally actively trying to kind of like shut down the internet in that way, the way we know the internet, haven't been able to succeed in doing so, right? And if they could have, they would have. And if they couldn't, no one will, right? Especially not with technology progressing as it is right now. And especially not when they realize there is, again, an advantage to your people knowing things. Or at least knowing what they're supposed to know. You see how I like made a little bit of a distinction there? It's important. Because that is going to be the thing, right? The internet will give the exact person that's asking the question exactly what they need to know. And maybe they'll be okay with that, where they weren't okay with the internet as it was, where it was just a bunch of people, like public sentiment, bots being able to like influence public opinion as well. The internet was shut down intermittently for the public when I was in India. The government was scared of riots. A big Supreme Court decision came down, and people couldn't organize with no internet. Again, I hear you on that, Joy Vive, but that is also now becoming not a thing anymore, right? Because the internet is now in space, where they used to be able to put buttons on server and no longer light go between. They can't do that anymore. Like, what are they gonna do? Pad over with LED our entire like open view skies? Like, no, you can't. Can't turn the internet off in our future. Like, we've already reached that point. I'm sure financial institutions and government had access, or things would fall apart. Exactly, right? And that's known by the governments as well. Like, they can also not afford. Like, that's kind of the joke, This system that's replacing them is built on the system that made them what they are right now, right? It's like the only way for them to make this thing that's replacing them go away is for them to go away, right? And that's the plan. We're going to become decentralized while at the same time being globalized, right? Our global collective and our intention to work together will make it so that the individual person can live like a king, right? And to me, live like a king means having food to eat and having a place to call your own, having a place to live, and then, of course, having the energy to live your life, right? And that's not unreasonable. And that is pretty much, the philosophy of, what do you call it? Socialism. Have the most beautiful day, friend. Gotta go. Love you, Nancy. I'm actually also ready to finish today's stream. I had fun. I hope that it's clear in having these conversations. I'm not trying to fight with you friends. I'm just really stoked for the future, and we're going to be a part of it, right? We literally are a part of it. We get to watch the future unfold right in front of us. And that's exciting, right? That's pretty exciting to me. That is definitely something to be shown. To see the future become right in front of our eyes, that's pretty neat. I think, at least. Let's see which card we'll get to pull today. Stop. The Pleiades. Yo, we haven't pulled this card in a while, and the fact that we're pulling it today, with how vocal I've been about the future, about how the future is supposed to be, this card's gonna mess us up. This card is about like the Pleiadians being this alien species that has it figured out. And how I'm one of them. I'm one of the Pleiadians, and I'm here to be like, hey, bros, I come from a world where things are okay, and they can be here too, I promise. Let me show you. Double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. It's a tall order. Channeling and uplifting humanity. The ladies. Hey. Pleiades. Pleiades. This is the last card in the whole deck as well. The Pleiadians are a group of star beings dedicated to raising the vibration of the planet and sharing new consciousness through creations and technology. Goodness, like, come on. Like, we have to acknowledge that that's trippy. That melts my brain that I'm like, technology and creating new future. The Pleiadians are a group of star beings dedicated to raising the vibration of the planet and sharing new consciousness through creations and technology. They have been incarnating on Earth since near the beginning of humanity. You are a soul who has a double mission: to grow at a soul level and to raise the vibration of the planet. If you have been called to write, speak, or channel, this is your sign to keep doing it. Your work is divinely guided. Of all the souls
Pleiadians are the chattiest. And so perhaps you have already started channeling some of this work into the third dimension. Thank you for doing your part in the great plan. Your presence and unique light is needed. Hold this card on your heart and say, I call upon Palladian consciousness of the highest realm and highest good of humanity to work through me. Let me be a channel for only the purest light of the essence of Source. Let me channel in a way that also serves me. I feel it has. I've been super stoked. And I might be wrong, you know? I could be wrong about everything I talked about today. I feel I have had at least some of a track record. Slowly but surely. But trusting is difficult. This is true. Even trusting myself. Right, so I do believe I get it. Let me see if my comments are bored. No, I don't think so. I think that's it, dear friends. Thank you for finding yourself here for a moment. Taking a deep breath. Showing up for our future. Showing ourselves that a future is something that we can have. Showing ourselves that it's not over. Showing ourselves that there's still a lot to look forward to. Thank you, friends, for showing me these things. I appreciate you. And I'll see you again soon. Tomorrow. I love you, dear friends. Goodbye for now. Cheers.